Hi, my name is Kat. It's not short for Catherine, it's short for Katya. And you are?
I'm Hayley.
And this is Night Classy, the podcast where two teachers unwind clearly, sip wine definitely clearly, and discuss the topics we wish we could teach at school. What are we drinking profusely?
Seems like we're drinking just about everything tonight because damn. We have Barefoot on tap, Pinot Grigio,
Yes.
American. I don't know what that really means.
American?
The American. Yeah, that's what it said. Look, very small underneath Pinot Grigio. It says American.
Oh, maybe so like, you know how champagne, you can't call it champagne unless it comes from France?
Yeah.
Maybe Pinot Grigio is the same thing. That's why they had to like tack like American at the end.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm making. I'm just.
That could be.
I'm speculating.
Perhaps that's it. So we have this beautiful white wine. It's pretty good.
It is beautiful. It's like Big Bird yellow giant box.
Yeah. It looks like I'm looking at a sunrise. Yeah.
That's
and then
kind.
I'm also apparently double fisting. I've got Zippin' Pippin IPA from Ghost River Brewing Company.
Yeah.
Is that? Yeah. That's just here in Memphis, right?
Yeah. Memphis beer. Alec is drinking High Cotton Brewing, also in Memphis, Scottish ale. It tastes like caramel. Ooh, he just cracked it into the mic.
Nice.
Very nice.
In case you didn't know, we're recording from Memphis.
Yes, Memphis, Tennessee. Beautiful. Thought it was going to storm. Now it's not storming, so that's cool.
Yeah. What were you going to say?
Oh, I don't know. I was just going to read my
was-
next note.
All right.
My next note says Sweet 16 because this is our 16th episode.
Bow, bow, bow.
That means we've been recording for 4 months.
Oh my
What
gosh.
the fuck?
Feels like 4 years with you guys. Jesus.
Holy shit. Can you guys get off our backs? Just kidding. We love you. Yeah, crazy. Happy Sweet 16.
Yeah. Happy birthday.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
This is really fun.
What did you do on your 16th birthday?
I truly don't remember. My grandparents gave me a car and it was an awesome car. It's still like dead in my parents' driveway. Hasn't been driven in like years, but
You should
that was
make
fun.
it like a giant plant potter. Like export it to your next, like wherever you end up like living for a long time.
Oh my God.
Put it in your backyard and like plant shit in it.
No, I couldn't do that to this car. I love this car. It's a 99 Volkswagen Cabrio. So it's like a convertible. It looks like a Volkswagen Golf, but it's a convertible and it's blue. And it was just like the best car ever. And the transmission doesn't work. The brakes barely work. Power of steering likes to go out sometimes. I drove it with all these issues for years and like it almost killed me so many times. But like I'm hoping that someday I'll have the money to like redo it.
That would
and
be
make
so
it drivable
special.
again because I love that car.
That would be so amazing.
Yeah. But right now fixing it would cost like 10 times as much as that car is worth. So
Yeah.
we're waiting on it.
I have a similar goal. My mom and dad, when they were still married, they had a like 88 red Corvette or something like that.
Wow.
Yeah. And they had to sell it just over, the course of
Yeah.
time. And so like, I don't know if my mom even listens or she's going to hear this, but like one of Troy and I, my brother, our goal is to like get either that specific one because we have the VIN number.
Oh, wow.
Or just like get one like the same make and model.
That's such a cool idea. I always think about that because my mom's first car was a Carmen Ghia. And I don't know if you know what those are, but they're like badass cars. And hers was pretty old. So it was vintage when she had it. So it was probably like from the 70s.
Yeah.
And she always talks about that car. And I'm like, if I ever get rich,
Right,
like,
it
I'm
would
going to
be
get my
so
mom a
cool
Carmen Ghia.
to give them that.
Yeah.
Like it's so much more than just a car.
Totally. It's,
Right.
Yeah, it's a lot of memories wrapped up in there.
Mm-hmm.
So
we
yeah.
can hold each other accountable.
Yeah. Accountability
these
buddies.
goals.
Well, first we have to get rich. So help us out with that.
Not necessarily. When you have a savings goal in mind, you don't have to be rich to buy things.
That's true.
It will
But I feel
help.
like frivolously buying a fancy car means you're pretty rich, like just in the like grand scheme of like average.
right. But it doesn't have to be a frivolous purchase.
True.
You know, if you set your mind to something over the course of 15 years,
True.
putting money aside, that adds up.
Yeah, that's true.
But yeah, it would be great to be rich. So we're on Patreon.
We have a lot of great content on Patreon. We've been posting videos. Hayley's boyfriend Tommy makes these like funny videos that we're in, and then we also like every once in a while take videos of us recording and like unedited clips of what's going on here. You can watch it. We also you can watch us.
Google just flagged us again.
But, yeah, did we ever tell you guys? So we had like this promo that we put out before the podcast ever aired, and it was like us just like talking about what the podcast was, but like we're teachers, and it got flagged as porn.
Yeah, I said something like, we know you've all wondered, what do teachers do after dark? And they were like, canceled.
Yeah. It was crazy. Like, obviously we do not produce that kind of content, and somehow we just like, I guess,
we showed up. I mean, maybe we
showed
have
up
potential.
and showed out.
Maybe that's what
I'm sure we do, but we're not. We need to keep our jobs, our real jobs.
Yeah, y'all had the like local singles call-in line kind of voice, and I'm like, they probably flagged it just for the tone of voice.
It was not intentional. We're just like, cute.
Our first time recording, we're cute as hell, and we're teachers.
Yeah.
Put that together, and apparently, it's inappropriate.
Yeah, which is fucked because.
Oh, you had to use that. You had to use that vocab.
All right, I think we need to move on. I think this has gone too far.
This episode's gonna be so fun.
We do still have day jobs, so we need to keep them. Anyway, any other updates? I don't really have any.
No. I just sit around the house, do last minute research the day of.
I don't understand how we're still scrambling to do research when we do literally nothing.
I actually started my research previous to today.
I started yesterday, which I guess is better than I usually do.
Yeah. We're like, the day we record is always the day we also research.
Yeah.
So if you're impressed, thank you. If not, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I meant to research a lot yesterday, but then I just started playing Animal Crossing, and then I kept playing Animal Crossing, and then I did like an hour of research.
Yesterday was like a day of self-love and care for me. Like, I did a hair mask.
Ooh.
Olaplex is great.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I did like a new deep conditioning, and then I did like a full like wash day because I have curly hair. So if any of you listening have naturally curly hair, it can be a beast to take care of. And everyone knows, like, in that community, like, wash day is a big fucking thing because you have to do everything, and then you have to dry it, and it's just a whole thing. So that took literally hours. Wow. And I did a little at-home tan. So
that's fun.
Feeling beachy.
Cool. I'm jealous. All I did was like rearrange my house. I upgraded my house on Animal Crossing.
I thought you were talking about our home.
No,
I was like, where?
No, I care more about my Animal Crossing house than our real house.
Our real house is perfect.
I bought like a fortune teller set and like a crystal ball for my Animal Crossing house, and so I like redid it and like made all this new furniture. So it looks pretty cool. If you want to visit my island, DM me.
Need to talk to Tommy about his house because he needs some interior design help up in Animal Crossing.
Really?
For real. Yes.
I feel like the whole point of Animal Crossing is to decorate your house.
Yeah, and make it all like nice and cute as well as your island.
Yeah, like on Reddit I saw people shitting on it and they're like, it's a dollhouse for adults. I'm like, yeah, why is that a bad thing? That's literally what it is.
One thing I want to do, I follow this woman on Instagram. I think her handle is ETST, but she is like an influencer, but she does doll houses and she like redoes them. She'll like paint them and put in like mini curtains that she makes, and like they look like real houses but they're like doll houses.
I love stuff like that. Like I've always loved like miniature things.
Yeah, like they have sets on Amazon for like $30. We should get a doll house and redo it together.
That sounds really fun. Let's do it. I'm down. I'm so down.
Sweet.
Let's paint our own wallpaper and like we can make the like furniture ourselves out of like little pieces of wood. What are we talking about? This is so weird. I'm sorry.
No. I think the people of Night Classy will like it because that's so us.
Yeah.
And this is all about
so us.
I mean, this is something I've obviously looked into because I know how much like miniature rooms are. So
I mean, that does sound really fun. Let's talk about it another time. If you have any tips for us, again, slide into our DMs.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't have any tips and you just want to talk to us, slide into our DMs. If you have comments on the podcast, slide in. We just like DMs.
Talk to us.
Yeah, talk to us. We really, truly like it. And speaking of you guys, I just have a couple of shout outs to make. First of all, I want to shout out Anastasia again. She increased her pledge from $5 to $10 per month on Patreon, which is
she's our first $10
amazing,
right?
No, that's not true. But she's one of them.
Does not take away from it.
No. And she bought herself a spot on the Dean's List. That's the $10 Patreon tier. And she is also a first year teacher, just like us.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
We should have her on for a little guest host action.
I mean, maybe if you're interested, Anastasia, let us know. She also wants us to shout out the SAM class of 2020 who are her students.
Oh,
so congratulations.
Shout out SAM class of 2020.
Yeah, congrats. We're so excited for you. And I also want to shout out our newest patron, Ashley. So thank you, Ashley. We appreciate you. And if you want to donate to us on Patreon and get your own shout out, get a sticker, possibly pick your own episode topic if you get on the Dean's List, you can go to patreon.com/nightclassy or download the Patreon app and find us on there. It's really easy. You can cancel your pledge at any time. So don't be worried about a commitment or getting scammed. It's just a fun thing you can do to support us.
And we appreciate every single one of you. I've said this before. I will continue saying it. It is so fun to watch something that just started as myself, Kat, and Alec turn into something that people actually care about and throw money at every single month.
Yeah.
So thank you.
From the bottom of our hearts. We really appreciate it. This is so fun for us, and we're glad that other people like it too. Oh yeah, and you get access to extra content. We already mentioned that.
Yeah, our content is lit.
Yeah, our Patreon content is actually really lit. So like, we're sad that we can't share it with everyone else.
I know. I was thinking about that video that we put on Patreon the other day, and I was like, dang it, I want to share this on the story, like on Instagram, but we just repost it to my personal.
Yeah, but we just have to do something special for you guys. It's hard, but
I want all of you to be special, but money talks.
Yeah. And we listen.
Also, our Patreon episode this month is going to be Hayley's boyfriend Tommy's episode. Yeah. So subscribe to Patreon in July, you guys.
We're just like slowly going through everyone we're quarantined with.
Yeah. Last month was me. Yeah. This month is Tommy.
Because COVID-19 is still real. It's still relevant. There is no vaccine for vaccine. There's no vaccine for it yet, so y'all better wear your mats.
Yes. Anyway, yeah, wear your fucking mask, or we're gonna personally chastise you. Okay. As if you care. Anyway, so we breathalyzed. And you would think we're drunker than normal, but like the breathalyzer said we really aren't.
Yeah, what is with us?
I don't know. But I blew a .139.
And I blew a .136.
So I get to go first. Bow, bow, bow. Bow, bow, bow. And mine is going to be a doozy. So this lesson topic is a Patreon pick from Nikki Foster.
What an intro. This is gonna be a doozy. Shout out to Patreon pick.
It's truly a great pick. It's just like loaded, and you'll see.
Okay.
Like I'm so glad this was picked because it is like a very timely thing to be doing, and like more than I ever thought I could talk about. So thank you, Nikki. We really appreciate this. And again, by donating $10 or more per month, you can choose a lesson topic. So my sources, Southern Poverty Law Center, Wikipedia, and the Anti-Defamation League. So we're getting serious.
You can't hear it over the mic, but my eyebrows are raised.
Yeah, we about to get political. Anyway, our lesson starts with Canadian Gavin McInnes.
Gavin McInnes.
Yes. He was born on July 17th, 1970. He is 5'10". He has 3 children.
What color is his hair?
Brown with gray. And he is a complete and utter piece of dog shit. And we'll talk about it.
Okay.
So in the 1990s, when he was 20 years old, in his 20s, McInnes founded Vice magazine. Vice epitomized hipster culture of the 1990s and 2000s. So he started out as kind of a hipster, and he often published controversial statements under the guise of like irony or jokes or satire, but he was always kind of like pushing the envelope. He liked to get people riled up.
Does he have anything to do with Vice now?
No, he stepped down in shame. Okay. And as years went on, it started to become clear that his incendiary comments published by Vice were not jokes, but instead reflections of McInnes's white supremacist ideology and his tiny penis. So I'm editorializing just a little bit. So, for example, in 2003, McInnes told the New York Times, quote, "I love being white, and I think it's something to be very proud of. I don't want our culture diluted. We need to close the borders now and let everyone assimilate into Western, white, English-speaking culture, way of life."
Oh, no.
Yeah. So he's a big douche.
Go back.
Beyond douche.
Go back to where you came from.
Yeah.
How about that?
Yeah. And in my notes I have, I'm sorry, what culture? Take your mayonnaise somewhere else.
Yeah, we veganese in this house.
Yeah. And so soon after, McInnes started writing for V-Dare, which is a white supremacist hate site. And in 2008, McInnes left Vice. I think he was kind of like forced out because he, for obvious reasons. And he went progressively more insane, pursuing other media ventures where he could freely spout his hate speech. And McInnes is not just racist. No, he is much more than that. So he is also transphobic. He has stated that, quote, "transphobia is completely natural," and called trans people, quote, "mentally ill gays." He also said that you don't see trans people that are over 40 because before they reach 40, they die of drug overdoses or suicide.
Are you kidding me?
No.
Okay, there's so much that I want to say. First of all, maybe you don't see people who are transsexual over 40.
I have.
Because you're not, yeah, right. Who, why? Oh my God.
Yeah. So he is just like it makes me tense up talking about him because he is just such, like, he deserves to be gone.
He's so afraid of people that are different than him.
It's like anybody that isn't a straight white man who like also is like a crazy alt-right person, like is like in his eyes inhuman.
Right. And they're the enemy too. Like not only does he like, can he not coexist?
Right.
But they're all of a sudden like a threat to him because of his tiny penis? I don't know.
I don't know. I didn't read like really anything about his early life or his early childhood, but like I feel like something had to have happened to a person like this to make him so awful. And I don't know what that is, but like there's serious, like this is not a normal person.
Right.
And that's not to say that like these ideas aren't widespread and like there is a lot of hate, but like he is just beyond.
To easily hate so much and put all of that forward publicly in the position of power that he has.
Yeah, and his power just like skyrockets and you'll see. Okay. So also, let's just move down the list. So he is also misogynistic, writing that, quote, "I have learned by trial and error that women downright want to be abused." And I'm like, trial and error? Like, he has a wife. Can we arrest him?
Never mind. They need to look into that.
Yeah. And he's also tweeted that, quote, every guy I've ever known to be involved in a, quote, domestic was the result of some cunt trying to ruin his life, end quote.
Yeah, we're trying to ruin his fucking life. Sometimes people deserve for their lives to be ruined.
Well, he's talking about like every time he's ever heard of like a guy beating his girlfriend, it's because she was trying to ruin his life, like that guy's life. And she deserved it.
Oh, I see. Yeah. I thought you meant that like the girl was beaten and she told the police or whoever she told because she was trying to ruin his life. I was like,
I don't, maybe, yeah, that would make sense. Either way,
I was like, yeah, he deserves his life to be ruined at least a little bit.
Yeah, it's just a whole thing.
Yeah, so he's not putting any blame on the abuser.
No, it's because of some bitch like being a bitch.
So he's a risk-cell.
He is. Okay, he definitely is a risk-cell.
Or he has the qualifications anyway.
Yeah, he's under the same mindset. So then in 2015, McInnes formed a partnership with a Canadian far-right video channel called Rebel Media. And a couple of months later, launched the Gavin McInnes Show with Compound Media. So he has an internet TV show. And it was here that he... quote, carved out an ideological space for frustrated young men to rally around. Western culture is superior to all others. Racism is a myth created by guilty white liberals. Islam is a culture of violence. And feminism is about demasculizing men, he told his audience. This is a quote from an article by the Southern Poverty Law Center.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That is ludicrous. That is so dangerous and harmful to even like have that out. Like, oh God,
yeah,
my heart
it's
hurts.
Just a true dumpster fire of like everything that is wrong. And he just created this space for these like men, these frustrated like young men with these like toxic ideals to come together and blame everyone else for all their problems. Like, it's not because we're douchebags. It's because everyone else is harming us.
Everyone else is wrong. And if you're different, then you're wrong.
Yeah. And Alec just pulled up a picture of him on the screen. Doesn't he kind of look like President Snow from the Hunger Games?
Yeah, he does.
Like a younger version.
It's like he has like a handlebar mustache, but also a beard.
Yeah. And like slicked back, greasy hair. He's just disgusting. So, men at Compound Media, so he worked for Compound Media, had these ideals, and they started like going to New York City dive bars together and like hanging out and just like spouting all this shit. And I wrote here, they're here having circle jerks where they whined about PC culture and women having jobs. And so
what do they want women to do?
Be barefoot and pregnant in the home and let their husband beat them, I think. Okay. So, and it was from here that the Proud Boys came about. Have you heard of the Proud Boys? We've talked about it a little bit.
Yeah, I did not know what the Proud Boys were previously to our conversations.
Yeah. So Gavin McInnes started the Proud Boys with this group of men. And the Proud Boys is what he calls, quote, a pro-West fraternal organization.
Oh, my God. Yeah. Fraternal?
Yeah. Oh, so it's all men, and they just hang out and talk about all their fucked up ideas. And they are, quote, pro-West. In essence, like pro-white. And so it is named after an Aladdin song, Proud of Your Boy. Do you know that song?
No, I don't.
I didn't know it either. And I meant to listen to it before we recorded and I forgot.
It's named after an Aladdin song?
Yeah, which I don't know. I don't know why, because they're like, this group is like staunchly like anti-Muslim and like by default like anti-Middle East.
They're so fucking stupid.
Yeah, they're so stupid. And they can be spotted at rallies and protests by their uniforms, a black polo shirt with yellow trim. And these are like Freddie Perry polo shirts. I don't know if you know what that is.
What's a Freddie Perry?
I didn't know what that was either. But like they're these like super expensive polo. They're not super expensive. They're like $50 to $70 for a polo shirt. They're just kind of like douchey polo shirts.
Okay.
And they're black and yellow. And they also like often wear red MAGA hats, shockingly enough.
Okay.
Yeah. And so the Proud Boys have 4 degrees of membership. So the first degree you can enter just by declaring their statement. And that says, quote, I am a Western chauvinist and I refuse to apologize for creating the modern world.
So you just got in level 1.
Oh my God. No, I can't.
How do you get out?
I can't be a Proud Boy because I'm a girl. Don't forget. It's a fraternal organization.
I'm just a girl.
I'm just a girl.
I'm just a girl in a Proud Boy world.
Oh no. But listen to this. Listen, this is good. So to enter the second degree, a Proud Boy has to endure a beating until they can yell out the names of 5 breakfast cereals. And this is to demonstrate, quote, adrenaline control. I'm not sure what that means.
So like, instead of, I mean, when you're being beaten, naturally the fight or flight instinct comes in, and for you to not just shut down or to like run away and be able to get a control to name 5 breakfast cereals, maybe they're like, this shows your mental capacity.
I guess that's exactly what it means, because like, I don't know. It's so dumb. And then they also have to limit masturbation to like a maximum of 1 time per month.
Why? So that their testosterone is so high that they're just fucking shaking and mad about everything?
No, it's because according to them, porn weakens men, and like the goal of a Proud Boy, they say, is like to get married and like be in a monogamous relationship, and like somehow masturbating like discourages you from talking to women. So this is like a way to make you talk to women and get married. I'm not really understanding.
I will say that there are a lot of things wrong with porn, and that unfortunately is the source of a lot of people learning about sex and what it is.
Yeah.
But
where's this going?
But masturbation is fine.
Yeah, this is just like a weird thing.
That's a weird
to limit your masturbation for your club. Okay, so
your club. Is there like any monetary stuff like exchanged between?
No.
Okay, so they
not
don't
that
have
I
to
know
pay.
of. I don't think
they're not making money.
There's probably dues, like, you know,
that's
to
what
like
I'm thinking.
Buy your dumb polo shirts and your dumb red hat. But other than that, I don't think so.
Okay.
And so to become a 3rd degree member, you must get a Proud Boys tattoo on your arm. So you get the initials POYB, which stands for Proud of Your Boy, and you get it tattooed on your arm.
Ew.
Yeah. There's no going back.
Do you get to pick your own font?
I don't know. That's a good question. I think Alec is looking it up right now. Oh, yeah. So some people just get the word Proud Boy written on there, or you can get the initials, I guess, if you want to be a little more inconspicuous.
I don't think any of these guys want to be conspicuous.
No. They all look like they're very proud. So, I mean, at least they're living up to the name. The 4th level is... They originally, in their original bylaws, only had 3 levels, but this 4th level was added by McInnes. And so it is for, quote, by McInnes, a material sacrifice or sacrifice for a brother, which according to McInnes is, quote, a major fight for the cause. Get beat up and kick the crap out of Antifa, was his quote. And so that's how you can be like an honorary level 4 member. And he later like obviously got backlash for inciting violence. And so he like backpedaled and he's like, that's not what I mean. Like, I just mean like if you're like provoked into a fight, like you defend your brothers.
Okay.
But like that's not what the fuck he meant.
Right. When you're in this position of power, and you have an online show and you have a following where people are getting tattoos of this group, maybe even if that's not what he meant, people can take it whatever way they want, and they're incentivized for that violence.
Totally. And he's constantly like incentivizing these things, touting racism, and then as soon as like someone says something about it, he's like, oh no, like that's not what I meant. Like he explains it away. Frustrating.
a cult in my eyes, because he's getting other people to do the work for him.
Yeah. And he many times has said, like, I'm just like the figurehead of this group. Like, I don't control what these people do. And it's just like, bro, you're literally like asking for
you
all this
influence
stuff.
them.
Yeah. It's just truly disgusting. So according to the Proud Boys, any man, regardless of race or sexual orientation, can become a Proud Boy as long as they, quote, recognize that white men are not the problem, end quote. So, okay. And they do actually have men of other races other than white, like in the ranks. Not a lot of them, obviously. And they kind of like point to that as like, we're not racist, when in reality that has nothing to do
Plenty
with
of racist people point to their token
like,
black friend and say, I'm not racist.
Yeah, it's basically just doing that. And they claim about 1,000. Oh no, there's a fly in my glass. Get out. Oh,
there's a
don't
fly
touch
in her glass.
It like keeps crawling around on my wine. Get out. Okay. So they claim about 1,000 members organized by local leadership nationwide. So
really?
There's like local leaders. They're in all different states. And basically what they do is like listen to McInnes's like crazy ass show, have meetings, talk about his crazy ideas. And they also show up to like protest, like alt-right protests and rallies, and just like a lot of like just regular Republican protests and rallies. And they also counter protest rallies like Black Lives Matter. And so McInnes and the group like tout themselves as like what the face they try to put onto the media is this non-violent fraternal group of drinking buddies. So it's just like a boys club where they like hang out, and
but
like
that's not what it is.
Not
if
at all.
Look into it. Do any research. That's not
what it is at all. And they've denied over and over again that they are a racist or like white supremacist group. They like really try to like steer the media away from that white supremacist label, and instead claim that they are simply against political correctness and seek to preserve Western culture, so anti-immigrant, and are proud of being white, and condemn Islam as being a sexist and violent religion. So like by their own definition, by trying to like be anti-racist, they are being racist and xenophobic.
Right. They just haven't done their own research. They're not educated. They just, maybe they are. Maybe they're creating their own narrative. But white supremacy groups, you know, whether it's the KKK back in the 60s or now with the Proud Boys, they change and evolve. So it's not going to look the same as it did 50 years ago. And that's that. Like, this is just...
And I do want to point out that the KKK is still alive.
Right, yes.
Well, but it's just like there's a face they put on to the media, and then there's like what they actually are, which I think is what you're trying to say. Like, they just... It's a racist shitstorm.
Yeah. So, and they're never going to label themselves as like, we're racist and we stand by it.
Yeah. They want to bring in as much of an audience as possible. Yeah. So the group would have you believe that they aren't a threat, but their track record shows a very different story. So aside from their leader, McInnes, inciting violence constantly, even saying on his show to his enemies, which he was talking to Antifa, quote, "We will kill you." That's the Proud Boys in a nutshell. We will kill you, end quote. So, some tangible examples of violence include, but are not limited to, forming a, quote, tactical defense arm of the Proud Boys called the Fraternal Organization of the Alt Knights. So these guys are there to protect the Proud Boys physically from, like, perceived threats that aren't real. And they are led by Kyle Chapman, who is also known as Based Stickman. And he is a violent felon who has repeatedly encouraged violence against anti-fascist activists, and whose persona, Stickman, stems from a history of threatening counter-protesters with a heavy iron stick. They have also been known to wear shirts at rallies that literally say, quote, "I'm just here for the violence." And groups of Proud Boys have a track record of physically attacking counter-protesters completely unprovoked. I watched some videos of them doing this, and it was really disturbing. Like, gangs of Proud Boys beating Antifa counter-protesters. Like, I watched the ones of the rally in Portland, and like, it truly is just like gangs of these guys beating like single protester, like counter-protesters.
It's so insane to see how people will resort to violence as their reaction, not even just to try to coexist and say, hey, this is what we stand for. That's what you stand for. It's different than what I do, but we can coexist peacefully. To go immediately to such extreme measures. Jeez Louise.
They just want an excuse to be violent. Like, clearly these guys have issues, a lot of pent-up rage, and they're just ready to raise their ugly heads about it. So in these Portland assaults, some of these guys actually were convicted and pled guilty to 4th-degree assault. And also, like, there's a trend of individual members having histories of violence, including Rachel Schultz, who was indicted for fighting and rioting, and Buckley Wolf, who was a Proud Boys member, and murdered his own brother with a samurai sword, claiming he did it because God told him he was a lizard. Don't laugh. Yeah, so this is who they are.
You're a lizard, Harry.
Yeah. So they're
comedic
they're
relief.
doing
I'm
this.
sorry.
Yeah,
I'm
no,
here
we need it, because this is like I'm clenching my fists right now intermittently because this makes me so angry. So these are just a few of many instances of physical violence, but the Proud Boys ideology is possibly just as dangerous. So we already kind of touched on McInnes's ideology, but overall, the Proud Boys, again, they like to deny their affiliation with white supremacy, yet consistently engage in white supremacist, neo-Nazi, and White Lives Matter protests and rallies. They show up and support. And McInnes routinely uses the N-word on his show and other derogatory language that I'm not going to repeat.
What?
And constantly makes tone-deaf and racist statements like, quote, if you like Trump, you're a black man in 1945 trying to have water at a liberal fountain. Yeah. So the Proud Boys claim to, quote, venerate the housewife, but call women lazy and unambitious. They blame the gender pay gap on women's prioritization of family rather than work.
What? But they're doing the same thing by wanting to keep women just home and suppressed.
But I think in their minds, like, the pay gap, like, women shouldn't be like going to work at all. But like, when people talk about the pay gap, it's because like women naturally like don't prioritize work. They like go home to their family.
There shouldn't be a pay gap at all. It should just be men working.
Yeah, it should just be women not getting paid at all.
Okay.
So,
all right, I see.
Yeah. And they are staunchly anti-feminist. They call feminists ugly, like whatever. Anything you want to say.
You know what? You're ugly too. So.
Oh, yeah, they are.
Not you, Kat.
Oh, thanks. I mean, if you're if you're a feminist, I guess I'm ugly. So, and they are also highly Islamophobic, making statements like, quote, there is a huge problem with inbreeding in the Muslim community. And they maintain ties with anti-Islamic activists like Laura Loomer. And they're also, surprise, anti-Semitic, made anti-Semitic comments. McInnes has defended Holocaust deniers. And the list like really goes on. They endorse transphobia. It just like, it doesn't end. Like anything that you think they could say that could be awful, they top it and go after the next group and the next group and the next group. They're truly just like, I can't even describe how like disgusting they are. It doesn't end.
Terrible happened to them.
I mean, you'd like to think, but
I'd like to think there's an explanation, but I mean, there probably isn't. And the way, I mean, we're all raised in different scenarios and upbringings, but dang.
Some people are just awful people. And I don't know if it's ignorance or just like being an awful person, being a sociopath and like, or not sociopath. You can be a sociopath and like still be okay. But just like wanting to like dominate and defile other people. I don't understand where this comes from. I mean, obviously it's entrenched in our society, but like this kind of extremism, I don't really know.
I think a part of it is unknown. And people fear the unknown, and they're also not willing. It's much more comfortable to lean in to who you are and what you think and like what people around you think than it is to get out and form relationships with other people and to educate yourself. Yeah. And maybe this is an extreme version.
I think it comes down to being like very, very, very dumb and like not wanting to understand other people. And also just being like a hateful piece of shit.
Yeah. Yeah. And they probably hate themselves a little bit too.
Totally. I think that's where a lot of this comes from. And obviously there's no explaining this away or rationalizing it in any way. Like there's no excuse. But like it's just like crazy to wrap your head around. But like these people really are here. And I don't think I have to tell any of our listeners why these statements are so wrong that they're making, because that's obvious. But it's so dangerous, largely because of how the Proud Boys market themselves as a harmless group of drinking buddies who are just like unafraid to speak the truth. And that's obviously not true, but some people buy into it. And
right, it's the same people who are running this, the people who so easily believe that they are that. They are the way that they portray themselves.
Exactly. And these fucked up beliefs have gained a platform in mainstream media and politics.
Of course. Yeah. Attention is what they need to keep going.
Totally. And so I have a few examples here. So in 2018, a video surfaced on YouTube of longtime advisor of President Trump stating, I forgot to write his name down. Fuck. Anyway, forgot to write his name, but longtime advisor of President Trump staring into the camera and reciting the Proud Boys initiation pledge.
What?
So like I am a white chauvinist or Western chauvinist, whatever they say. And in 2018, In 2018, a conservative commentator, Ann Coulter, tweeted, quote, "Get a Proud Boys wristband and defend the men who defend you." So just blatantly, promoting this group in a tweet.
Right.
Ann Coulter.
Of course.
Yeah. So both U.S. Senator Ted Cruz and Texas Governor Rick Scott have been photographed alongside Proud Boys, as have U.S. Reps Mario Diaz-Balart and Devin Nunes.
So they're probably with it, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
In 2019, Donald Trump Jr. also posed for a picture with Proud Boys member Luke Rothling. And the Proud Boys have also been embraced by numerous Fox News hosts. So McInnes has appeared on Sean Hannity's Fox News show at least 24 times. And human piece of garbage, Tucker Carlson, has appeared on McInnes' show.
Right, because who else are they going to get?
Right. So if you watch Fox News, stop.
If you watch Fox News,
fuck yourself. I think I was going to say, if you watch Fox News, fuck you. And then I got Fox and fuck mixed up in my mouth.
Either way, find some other way to get the actual news, please.
Yeah, there's other places.
I feel like we're a political podcast now.
Yeah, I mean, we kind of went there. So
I mean, it's our podcast. We can get political if we want to.
It's my party. I can do it. Yeah. Anyway,
we're not going to cry about it, but I mean, maybe we will.
Yeah. If you don't agree with what we're saying, we don't want you. And so in conclusion, this is not just a handful of crazies. These are prominent people that hold influence and power. And so...
Wait. I want to go back. I think if people don't agree with us, not that we want them or anything like that, but I think that it would be good to open discussion, because I think right now discussion and education is so important.
Right. But if you don't agree, if you agree with like anything McInnes is saying,
yes,
then fuck you.
I just want to make that clear, because, you know, as educators, some people don't have other perspectives opened up to them.
That's true.
And so discussion is important.
If you're willing to learn more, then like please keep listening and reach out to us. But if you're a racist, xenophobic, transphobic, misogynist piece of garbage, then kindly fuck off is I think what I'm trying to say.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
I agree.
Alec, are you going to say something?
Oh, I was just going to say, and Nikki put this topic forward, right?
Yeah.
And I just wanted to say she put the topic as the Proud Boys because they're in the news all the time with the current protests, and they're just always on the news. And so she put this forward as wanting to know more about it.
Yeah.
Because it's a relevant topic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's not supporting the Proud Boys.
I wondered that
but
too.
You just never said like today's episode is about the Proud Boys. It just started with McInnes and kind of went into the Proud Boys, and it sounded like what topic did she say and why?
That's
I wanted to clarify.
I was gonna say that at the end, but
okay.
Thanks for saying something now.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I didn't know you were gonna get to it.
I just like laying out the story before I like say the topic because I think it's more interesting that way. But you're right. Anyway. So like we were saying, this isn't just like an isolated group of people. Like these ideas are pervasive and spread to people of power that hold a lot of influence, and it's incredibly dangerous. It's not just something to laugh at on a podcast. It's like very, very harmful. And I encourage people to educate themselves and maybe get a therapist because it sounds like you need one.
Right.
And
education is so powerful.
Yeah. And we've already talked about how you can help. So I kind of just want to end this on just kind of meditating on the fact that Gavin McInnes is an absolute lunatic, and that not that any of this is funny, but he's done some like ludicrous things that we can laugh at.
Okay.
So
let's hear it.
I have just 2 examples. Alec, do you have the video queued up?
I've got one pulled up on Pornhub.
Great.
Yeah, I saw you pulling that up.
So the first one, it's not the video Alec has pulled up, but Gavin McInnes once, get ready for this, shoved a dildo up his own ass on live video on his show to own the libs and prove that he's not homophobic. And there is a video of this. I haven't seen it, but if you look hard enough, there it is. Yeah. It looks like more of a butt plug, but it's up there.
It's in there. You're owning the libs.
Yeah. He's proving he doesn't hate gay people by putting in a butt plug.
Watch how not gay I am as I stick this dildo up my ass.
Yeah. And I mean, you can be a straight man and have a butt plug, but
yeah, that's true. I mean, you have glands up there. Like, it feels good and that's fine. But
we're not trying to hurt anyone's feelings, but this is crazy.
Yeah, this is some crazy shit. No. Oh my God.
So he did that. That's really good. And then
for starters, here's your appetizer, but back up the ass to pwn the libs.
If you want to pwn the libs, all you got to do is stick a butt plug up your ass and post a video of it on
for $200.
No.
Okay,
anyway, moving on. So the second thing he did, which I've seen the video, McInnes was talking to this guy. I didn't watch the full video because it's like 30 minutes long. It's this guy who's on the screen right now. And from my understanding, he's a feminist online. And so McInnes and the Proud Boys were like bullying him about it. And then McInnes invited him on his show. And this like the feminist guy was basically like telling him to like fuck off because like McInnes was just like being a huge like incendiary dickhead.
Yeah.
And so in order to like show this guest that he didn't like what he was saying, McInnes climbed up on his desk, pulled his pants down, spread his ass cheeks out, and like showed this guy his butthole, and then like smacked his own ass on live TV. There he goes. Yeah.
Oh.
So And does he bleach his asshole? Because it's very...
Yeah, he must. And he shaves it too.
Yeah.
Because there's no hair. Like, I have more hair than this guy.
It's bleached and shaved. So, I mean, I'm just...
He hates himself.
Yeah.
Because he's not being true to himself.
Yeah.
And this is creating huge problems in his life and for other people. Yes. And that is so unfortunate and messed up. And it makes me sick.
Yeah. So now everyone in this room has seen Gavin McInnes' asshole. You too can see it on Pornhub. And that is the topic of the Proud Boys, suggested by Nikki. They've been in the news a lot, and she just wanted to hear us cover them because it is kind of an ambiguous group that shows up to rallies. And I think it's important to kind of understand where this group comes from.
Isn't it crazy that such like a crazy group taking actions like this, having the beliefs that they do is so prevalent? Especially in our leaders, our political leaders.
Plenty of political leaders have either like officially or like by proxy endorsed this group.
I wish I could say I'm surprised. I wish I felt surprised. I just feel...
Oh, it's completely not surprising. And that's because like racism and like all the other things that go along with it, any like ism essentially is just so deeply entrenched in American society. And we like everything happening right now, all the uprisings, all the protests, it's so necessary and it's for a real reason. And it's because of things like this. So do your part. The end. Thanks for listening to my lesson.
Thanks for that lesson.
Hope you learned something.
I think it's important. And if anything, like this was a lesson about the Proud Boys, but also to me, it's a lesson to do more, educate yourself more. If you have a question, it is not the media's job to answer that question for you. Look into it.
Because depending on what media you watch, you could be watching fucking Tucker Carlson acting like this McInnes guy is a great person.
Right.
And just, if you find yourself hating a group of people, ask yourself why, talk to people from that group, and educate yourself.
Yep. Do your part. Educate yourself. Take responsibility of yourself, your life, everything.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. And let's hear a quick word from our sponsor, and we will be right back. Hayley, did you know that gelatin is not vegan?
I only learned that when you told me that it comes from horse hooves.
Yeah, and guts. So I don't eat gelatin, gummy bears, and that includes Jell-O, which by proxy includes Jell-O shots, which obviously is a huge bummer.
Yeah, they're so fun to take, but I mean, honestly, the mess of it is not always worth it.
Yeah, and luckily, Ethel Ambrosia has a solution for both. Is your mind exploding right now?
It is. How do they do it?
Yeah. So Ethel Ambrosia, instead of using traditional gelatin for their gel shots, they use a seaweed-based gel. And not only does that not melt, but it tastes pretty much the same as gelatin. And so, like, what about Jell-O shots do you find messy?
Like, traditional Jell-O shots, you have to, like, stick your finger in and, like, put it around the rim and, like, you know, pop it out and then suck it out. Like, it's just a whole, it's a whole thing. And there's a time and place for that. And it's not with a Jell-O shot.
So Ethel Ambrosia has a fix for that, too. They have a patent pending push-up cup. It's like a push pop. It pushes the gel up and you can just cleanly take a bite out of it without ever getting your fingers involved. And it also doesn't break down in the sun. Because they're vegan, they don't melt. And I'm sorry, this is just my new favorite thing because it has solved all my problems. I've always wanted to eat Jell-O shots and now I can, vegan and cleanly. They come in all different flavors. We got the variety pack. What was your favorite flavor?
Definitely rosé.
Oh, same, obviously. So if you want to try Ethel Ambrosia, visit ethelambrosia.com and enter our promo code NIGHTCLASSY for 15% off your order. It's awesome.
Welcome back.
Yeah.
This episode is going to be a lot. You're halfway through.
All right.
Are we ready?
I'm excited to not have to be the person delivering the hard news.
Yeah, I'm happy for you. So my sources are World History Project, History.com, Wikipedia, Aeon Media Group, SolitaryWatch.org, Dr. Romeo Vitelli's blog, which is Providentia, and Brainy History.
Okay.
All right. I'm going to set the scene.
All right.
Okay. So the year is 1876. All around the world, things are happening.
Spiritualism.
The USA.
Era.
Yes. What else you got? Anything?
That's it.
Okay. Well, I have more. The USA turns 100 years.
I have one.
Oh, yeah.
The Golden Dawn.
What is that?
Are you kidding? I literally just taught you a lesson on it last week.
The Golden Dawn with the cats? What?
It was the hereditary.
The Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn.
Oh, shit. Yeah,
Hayley.
with the Freemasons.
Oh my God.
Sorry. There were so many words and I was so drunk by the time your episode came around.
Wow. I hope everyone knows we don't learn anything on this show. Like, I don't ever remember anything.
It's so hard when we're trying to figure out what episode is going to come out which week. I know what I've done in the past. I don't exactly know which order, but I cannot tell you what you do half the time, if not more than half the time.
I never know.
Right.
I never know.
I'm sorry, but
that was rude.
I did.
Go ahead. Oh, I was just saying I kind of want to leave the podcast, but anyway, what were you going to say?
Maybe it's not a reflection of me as a student. Is all I'm saying.
That's rude.
No, it's totally a reflection of me as a student. I was just telling you it's so hard when I'm second to listen and you're teaching second, because I'm so drunk typically by this point.
I'm wasted by now. Let's go. Tell me something I won't remember.
All right. So in 1876, the USA turns 100 years old. Woo, woo. Mark Twain published The Adventures of Tom Sawyer.
Wow.
The first ever telephone call is made.
Cool.
Ooh, applause. Colorado is the 38th state admitted to the Union. And over in France, we have a beautiful 25-year-old Blanche Monnier. She is living in Poitiers. I'm not really sure how to pronounce it. It's a town in France. Okay. Blanche Monnier is a woman. She is 25 years old. She is a socialite, and she's living in the town of Poitiers.
Okay.
And it is named after Blanche's mother, her whole family, basically. So they're super rich. She is a very beautiful young socialite. Here's a picture of her.
Oh, she's beautiful.
Stunning.
I feel like normally you see Victorian era portraits of supposedly beautiful women, and they don't look like that. She's actually very beautiful.
She's very beautiful. She has a head of curly hair. It looks like it's done up. She has a beauty mark. Her eyes are light. I don't know. She's a pretty girl. Okay. So 1876, she's living in high society. She works as a fucking socialite for her job, right? Family is made up of very well-respected aristocrats. The average age, and this surprised me, the average age of marriage for women in the 1800s was way older than I expected. They're typically getting married at 26 years old or so.
I mean, I knew that because I was a history major, but maybe some people don't know that.
I went to college to drink, so no, I'm just kidding. Yeah, I did not know that. And I feel like that's a common misconception for people who didn't study history as their major, maybe. I thought that they would have been married super young.
Yeah. I mean, young marriages still happened then. And I think that's where the misconception comes from, is that if a family just really needed to marry off their kid, they could when she was really young, but it wasn't common.
And it wasn't crazy.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So Blanche at this point in time is 25 years old. She's creeping up on marriage age. She's getting ready. Pressure's cooking up hot for her to get married. Okay. So she's in luck. she falls in love. Not only does she fall in love, but she falls in love with an older man. Okay.
Don't we all?
Don't we all?
On this podcast.
If you don't know, if you don't know, that does hold true. Both Kat and I have partners who are at least 2 years older than us. And by 2 years older, I mean 10.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, not only was he an older man, but he's a lawyer.
Ooh, a lawyer.
We love a lawyer.
A doctor.
He's a doctor.
He's a doctor.
He's a lawyer.
He's a lawyer.
Not only is he a lawyer, he's a broke lawyer. He's got no money.
He's broke?
He's penniless.
How you gonna be broke as a lawyer?
He's a bad lawyer, but she falls in love.
Okay.
So you can probably imagine how this went over with her mother, her rich, wealthy, aristocratic mother.
Imagine being pissed that your daughter is in love with a lawyer.
No, not just a lawyer, a penniless, and I quote from her mother, a penniless lawyer.
But to her, penniless probably means like upper middle class.
Yeah, you're right, probably.
Yeah.
And also, let the record show that I could not find any information on Blanche's lover.
Okay.
Like, I could not figure out who he was, anything like that. Like, and I searched.
Do we know his age?
No, we're not sure. I would say like
older?
10 plus years older.
Okay.
Yeah. So for her mother, we don't know exactly what her standards are, but nonetheless, she is not happy. She's super upset with this, and she outlaws the marriage between her socialite daughter and this broke lawyer. Okay. So you'd think, to me at least, my thought process is that she'd become like the stereotypical like mother-in-law pain in the ass bitch to her son-in-law, and they'd get married and life would go on.
Yeah. Or I mean, I don't really see her getting married to him because I mean she'd probably lose her inheritance. But like, don't marry him, be butthurt about it, and like that's the end. Right.
And then it doesn't become a whole thing on a podcast 130, 40, 50 years later.
But I sense we're going somewhere else. Yeah.
But things are different. Okay. So that doesn't happen. Basically, Blanche stands her ground and she disappears.
Imagine being like, named Blanche.
Right.
Sorry.
Yes.
Keep going.
We should ask Kelly what Blanche means. BLANCHE.
Why are we asking Kelly? Oh,
because she speaks French.
Okay. But it's a name. It probably doesn't mean
it means
anything.
white.
Oh.
She was white, for the record. Okay.
I'm sorry. I don't know why I laughed. I'm just drunk.
Imagine your name being based off of how you look.
Well, imagine if your first name was White.
Right. Yeah. I don't know. So anyway, Blanche disappears in 1876. She's 25 years old. It became pretty clear to everyone who knew about this whole like situation between Blanche and her mom and Blanche's like hopeful fiance. They just assumed that Blanche ran off with this broke lawyer to a different town, changed her name, and started a new life.
He killed her.
Maybe so. We don't know.
Okay.
So there was no questions raised about her disappearance. Like Blanche's mother, Madame Louise Monnier, and her brother, Marcel, or Marseille, I don't fucking know.
Louise, Bishi, and her brother, Marcel.
He had not earned shit yet at this point. So they mourned the loss of Blanche in their lives. They were so sad. But somehow they found a way to continue on with their life.
Oh no, did they kill her?
And for 25 years, they lived out their life.
Great.
Okay.
Good for them.
So no one has seen Blanche, this socialite who knew lots of people.
By definition, she was social.
For her job. Until May 23rd, 1901, 25 years later, an anonymous letter arrived at the office of the General Attorney of Paris, and it read, Monsieur Attorney General.
Oh, no.
I have the honor to inform you of an exceptionally serious occurrence. I speak of a spinster who is locked up in Madame Monnier's house, half-starved and living on a putrid litter for the past 25 years. In a word, in her own filth.
Good Lord.
Yup.
Okay.
Yup. So this letter, thankfully, the police launched an investigation.
Wow.
Right. They're getting shit done in France. And
good for them.
Or not even 1876 anymore, 1901. So it leads to an investigation. The police go to the Monnier residence.
Also, I'm sorry. I like that they called her a spinster.
I know.
As if she hasn't suffered enough. This old single woman is dirty and starved. Like
she's locked in an attic and she's single for some reason.
How
you
dare
should go
she be single?
Go take a look. It's reached a point that we can't really.
It's like so this woman is like locked up. She's starved, but like she's single. You should investigate this.
Yeah, you should look into it.
She's 40 years old and she's single. Please.
So they go to the Monnier residence. Madame Monnier and Marcel let them into their home, and basically their noses lead them to a padlocked door in the attic. No. The stench is impossible to ignore.
And what do you know the timeline on this? Like, how long has it been?
Not long. Pretty much immediately.
No. But like, how long since she was locked up to the
25 years.
Oh,
so she is 50 years old.
Why even keep her? Like, why are they keeping her alive at that point? Like, you would think, like...
mental illness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you can't blame that on... like, that's just evil.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So, they find Blanche.
Okay.
25 years after her disappearance. She's now 50 years old. She's covered in feces. She's covered in food. They take her to the hospital. She weighs 55 pounds.
Oh,
you'll see. I have a picture here. Her hair, you should see. Her hair is so long. For 25 years, she was locked in solitary, without the outside world, limited contact with her mother and her brother, occasionally a servant going in there just to keep her company, but not to grant her access to freedom. Her mother had locked her in the attic, stating that she would not let her out until Blanche agreed not to marry the poor lawyer. Basically, she thought that she would call Blanche's bluff. But that day never came. Blanche's lover, the lawyer, he died in 1885.
So just a few years later.
Yeah. But her mother continued her imprisonment.
Oh my God.
You want to see a picture?
Yeah. No.
I want to see it.
I'm seeing it.
Oh
my God.
No.
She looks like a skeleton with skin on her.
Yeah.
She looks way older than 50 years old.
Oh my God. She looks like a creepy pasta. Like, I wouldn't think that's real.
Right.
Oh my God. That poor...
Mm-hmm.
It's just like, okay, you want to keep your daughter from marrying this guy. Like,
let your daughter live her own fucking life.
Like, let her live her life. But like, also, if that's your goal, like, why are you starving her and letting her live in feces?
Yeah.
Like, this is just a fucked up.
It's so fucked up. Yeah. This whole episode is fucked up. I do want to take a second outside of this story, and I'll get back into it, but I do want to talk about what being alone for a long time does for you. Just being in solitary confinement, whether it's in the prison system or in your fucked up, I don't even want to call her mother.
Yeah.
In an attic alone.
Did she have a dad?
So she did have a dad, but he passed away. I think his name was Emile. Okay. Emile, but he was not present for this at all. So basically, if you don't know, your mental health deteriorates rapidly in solitary confinement. There was a study done where 20 prisoners volunteered for a week of solitary confinement, and they found decreased EEG activity, which, if you don't know, EEG is basically like the electricity or the electrical activity of your brain cells. It's the activity of your brain. So they found much less activity in your EEG, and that's indicative of increased theta activity, which is related to stress, tension, and anxiety. In 2005, 44 prisoners in the California prison system completed suicide. Of the 44, 70% were in solitary confinement.
Wow.
So it's really super, super bad for people who have pre-existing mental health illnesses, but really bad for anyone who has fine mental health. Solitary confinement, in lack of better terms, makes you go crazy.
Yeah.
Humans need social interaction. Neurologists studied rats in solitary confinement and they monitored their hormones. The rats couldn't regulate their stress hormones, which led to an excess of stress hormones, obviously, and that resulted in neurons dying. Your neurons don't come back. They just die. Your brain is dying in solitary confinement. So outside of this story, I urge our listeners to think about prisoners in jail, in solitary confinement, which seems to be a very easy out to send people to.
Oh, yeah. For anything.
For anything.
You can be thrown in solitary confinement.
Right. And they also found changes within the study on rats, which the reason why researchers study rats is because their brains behave very similarly to the way our brains do. They found changes in the cerebral cortex. And so the cerebral cortex is like what you think of when you think of the brain. It's the most outer part of the brain. It's responsible for thinking, processing information from our five senses. What is life without our five senses? It's basically the thing that makes you the most human. It's responsible for higher thought processes like speech and decision making. And this can be affected within days of solitary confinement. Blanche was in there for 25 years.
I think you, like you're saying, your brain would just shut off. Because what's the point of your brain even functioning if you're just like sitting there in an attic, not talking, not doing anything?
There is no point. Yeah. There are some accounts, and this one I didn't cite because I didn't really find anything else to support it. But there was an account that said that she had written the French word, I think it's libertad or something like that, but the word for liberty on her wall like libertas. Thousands of times. Yeah, libertas, like thousands of times. Like, in solitaire, your brain, like, you can't think of anything else but that one thing. And then it's a cycle. It goes inward, 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 and you're not exposed to anything else.
Right. And like, I'm just thinking, obviously this is like not like a true comparison at all, but like, you know, you've learned Spanish and I've learned German, and like how quickly you lose it by not using it.
Yes.
And like, imagine if you weren't using your native language, like not writing, not speaking, not reading. You'd probably lose words for things really quickly. And then like your brain, like you can't really think of the word anymore when you don't know it.
And she did.
Yeah.
She could not speak coherently when she was rescued.
Okay.
So an officer's report reads, "We immediately gave the order to open the casement window. This was done with great difficulty, for the old dark-colored curtains fell down in a heavy shower of dust. To open the shutters, it was necessary to remove them from their right hinges. As soon as light entered the room, we noticed in the back, lying on the bed, her head and body covered by a repulsively filthy blanket, a woman identified as Mademoiselle Blanche Monnier. The unfortunate woman was lying completely naked on a rotten straw mattress. All around her was formed a sort of crust made of excrement, fragments of meat, vegetables, fish, and rotten bread. We also saw oyster shells and bugs running across Mademoiselle Monnier's bed. The air was so unbreathable. The odor given off by the room was so rank that it was impossible for us to stay any longer to proceed with our investigation.
Oh my God. It's amazing she's still alive.
It is. Like I said, she could not speak coherently. She was frightened by everything going on. The sight of sunlight practically shook her to her bones. She hadn't seen the sun in 25 years.
She didn't have a window. I thought they just said she had a window.
With curtains. Heavy curtains.
She couldn't move was she chained to her bed?
Not in this picture. I can't imagine. And we'll get into her birth giver and her brother's testimony on this. So Madame Monnier and Marcel, they're both arrested, whisked away to jail. Madame Monnier, she confessed to the abduction and imprisonment. And it said that, like, obviously angry crowds formed at the prison where she was kept. Like, not that it's an excuse, but that was highly embarrassing for Madame.
Right.
Whatever she's going through, you know, she's a fucking aristocrat in France, whatever. 15 days. So just over 2 weeks after her arrest, Madame Monnier passes away unexpectedly due to a heart disease. And by this point in time, you know, there wasn't an exact age that I could find on her, but if Blanche is 50 years old, you know, her mom is probably 70 to 80 years old. And so newspapers at the time discussed the possibility of her condition wasting away super rapidly as really the depths of her actions sunk in after the judge's initial review of the case. But basically she passed away due to heart failure, it seems. And so that meant that her death led to the only person to blame being Marcel, her brother. And so
he sounds like he's pretty much just as much to blame.
Yeah.
And so are the fucking servants. Like, anyone who knew about this and didn't tell anyone.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Lots of people end up coming out and being like, yeah, we knew about this. We heard her crying for her freedom, but blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
Whether it was out of fear of, like, because they told people that Blanche was insane and that they'd rather keep her in the home than going to an insane asylum. Are you going to confront somebody on that?
Yeah. I mean, I guess at the time, like, especially like the power dynamic of being a servant, you wouldn't necessarily be able to come forward. But her brother, fuck him. He was to blame too.
And not only servants, but neighbors.
Yeah.
People that you live next to, constantly hearing the outcries. And eventually, you know, at what point does she not be able to speak French anymore?
Right.
It's just probably an animalistic cry.
Yeah. Oh my God.
So Marcel said that it was his mother who had full responsibility. He was just going along with her out of respect for his mother, which is actually a thing. Respecting your parents so much that you just go along with them.
Yeah. But at what point?
Not this. This is fucked up. And so he is the one who claimed that Blanche was insane and uncontrollable, and that's why she was kept in there as an alternative to the insane asylum. He also blamed his nearsightedness for not being able to see these grave conditions that Blanche was being kept in. So that right there tells you that he's a fucking fraud.
Yeah, yeah. The fact that the police opened the door and could smell their way to her room. Like, I'm sorry, you can be completely blind and hear and smell her.
You got a nose, though.
You do got a nose, though.
So, like I said before, others admitted to knowing of Blanche's, again, 25 years in the attic. Servants, neighbors came forward. They were hearing her pleas. And like I already discussed before, they were worried about her being insane, being loyal to the family, or out of fear of becoming an accessory to the crime.
Yeah.
And so in the end, Marcel, who was a practiced lawyer as well, was sentenced to 15 years in prison. Not 15 years. Marcel was sentenced to 15 months in prison, but appealed the ruling with the argument that Blanche could have left anytime she liked, but chose not to, on this padlocked door in the attic. And not only is that insane, but it worked.
Yeah, and this is like really fucked up, but like the same shit happens today. Like, because he would really only be like an accessory to kidnapping, which would probably get him like close to the same time today.
Exactly. And that's what they argued, was that Marcel was not responsible for like the imprisonment necessarily, they thought, because the mother, Madame, she admitted to those crimes. So the only thing that he was responsible for was kind of like an accessory type
like not
deal.
Telling.
Yeah.
Yeah. So fucked up.
So yeah, it worked. He was freed. He eventually inherited his mother's estate.
Oh my God.
But he ended up dying in 1913.
Oh God, I thought you were gonna tell me, yeah, and he had kids, and they came like had
he
kids,
had kids, and
now
now
he's the president.
Yeah, I was gonna say. Fortunately, unfortunately, we'll never know.
Okay,
no. So Blanche, she was never able to get back into normal society.
Poor Blanche.
Yeah. She was excited the first time she got a bath and clothing. Physically anyway, she cannot linguistically say that she was excited. She lived out the rest of her life in a psychiatric hospital in Blois,
which in
France.
Like a Victorian France was probably a shithole where she was abused further.
Yeah. She passed away in 1913. Same year as her brother.
That's so awful.
To this day.
Did she ever regain her speech? Or
I could not find anything on that. Did not, like, I feel like if she did, there would have been something about it.
Yeah.
But after 25 years of almost no human interaction.
Yeah. Oh, that's so sad. I feel bad for making fun of her name. Sorry, Blanche.
Yeah. This is, and you know, there are other stories like this, much more present, and it's messed up. To this day, no one knows who wrote the letter that led to Blanche's freedom. Mm-hmm. Who's to say? It's honestly
amazing that they even investigated. Because, I mean, with a powerful family, like you see that even today.
The whole town was named after like the mother's maiden name.
Rich family, like I feel like a lot of times the police are just like, no thanks.
Right. And so I want to know more, like, we're looking at the newspaper articles now, like it's just her barren body, naked. Her hair has grown long. She looks feral.
Yeah.
It's insane.
Yeah.
And so this erupted all throughout France, but it didn't really spread throughout the world or anything like that. But, you know, you wonder what happened to people? What made you this way? Why was this a good idea?
Oh, yeah. And you got to just think like this is a like extremely wealthy family. So we know about this. But I mean, there are countless cases, I'm sure, like even today, like of like similar shit like this happening.
Right. Like, what's his name? Ariel Castro in fucking Cleveland, holding those girls in his basement, raping them.
Yeah.
That's super relevant. And in our mainstream media in the news, like it was several years ago, but like, that's just another story of the same fucked up
it goes
shit.
On. And I mean,
see something, say something.
Right.
At
so
the end
many
of the
times
day,
it feels like stuff like this comes out and then people come forward and they're like, yeah, like I thought there was something sketchy about that house. And like, I just it can't hurt to, and I know I know we don't have the most trust in the police right now, but when it comes to something like this, like a life or death situation, just like maybe say something.
Right. What's it going to hurt? If you get a bad feeling about somebody, why do you want to be loyal to them? Why not risk that relationship if it means somebody else's life comes out better or not harmed even further on the other end?
Like, what are you going to think about on your deathbed? Like maintaining relations to keep your social status or saving someone's life? Mm-hmm. What's more important to you? All right. I'm dropping my mic.
Me too. This was a heavy episode. Thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening. Great lesson, Hayley. Thank you. Yeah.
Class dismissed.
Tune in next week. Class dismissed. Hopefully next week we'll be happier. Bye.
Bye.